One is an escalating marital spat comedy between two Titanic actors. The other is that same thing, but more caustically British, if you know what I mean. The War of the Roses, They Remade It.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of They Remade It. I'm your host, Stuart.
And I'm your host, Jacob.
Coming at you today with a bit more of a tired energy, so perhaps I won't have the same gusto as normal, but I'm sure once I get into it and I start getting rabid over some particular part of the movies, I'm sure the energy will be back a little, but otherwise it's kind of a smoother feel for me.
All good. Yeah, as opposed to your regular manic clown energy that you bring.
I mean, I feel manic sometimes on this show, so, you know. Wouldn't say clown necessarily, but thank you for making that as an idea.
No, you know what I mean. I'm not making any direct comparisons.
I know.
But
yeah, no, don't worry.
Yeah.
Man, a clown. That's just I don't know if I've ever been called a clown in my life. Like, I've just never had the energy of that.
I don't think so either. I don't think that's something that people toss around, really.
Yeah. I'd be a terrible clown.
They don't use it lightly. Oh, same. You have to... Yeah, I couldn't do that.
I want to just be a clown that just, like, punches people, and that's just it.
Just a mean... So Krusty the Clown.
Not even, like, as nuanced as Krusty. Just, like, there's not even, like, maybe there's a setup for a potential, like, normal joke. Like, oh, there's, like, a spray bottle or, like, a pie or something, and I just walk past all of it and just deck someone in the face.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Just, like, no look on my face, just neutrally bam.
Yeah. That's the kind of energy that we're bringing to the show in 2026.
Yeah.
Is violent clown.
I feel like something like that happened a few years ago, didn't it?
Violent
like those clown attacks. Yeah.
Oh,
like, wasn't that a thing a few years back?
Well, that was less violent and more like losers in costumes hiding in bushes and brandishing fake knives. I'm sure some of it was real, but most of it was not.
Anyway, what you been watching?
Oh, I've been so busy, but I'm still on my shit with the Best Picture stuff. That's primarily what I've been doing. Things like Tom Jones recently. Very strange.
Okay.
It is not at all what I thought it was going in. And there's like weird break the fourth wall moments where, like, primarily in the third act, I'm like, what movie am I even watching right now? It's like some shit the Muppets would do. So that was interesting. Out of Africa, I finally saw. Very boring. And the big one, Ben-Hur, the original, which I have seen bits and pieces of, but I have never watched in its entirety because it's like 3 hours and 40 minutes long. So I finally watched Ben-Hur.
How did that go?
Sat through the whole thing. I mean, it's perfectly fine. It's also a little tiresome. But the thing that brings me back from it are strictly the performances. There are scenes where I'm on the edge of my seat and nothing's really happening just because I think that there are fantastic personalities on screen doing what they're doing. If there's anything that can be said about Ben-Hur, it's probably that. Because even the quote-unquote spectacle didn't really do anything for me. And part of that is obviously the removal of having to watch something like this at your home. You know, which it's funny enough because they actually did a Fathom event nationwide for Ben-Hur, like a week after I watched it. And I was like, if I had just waited a little bit, I would have gone to that because that's the right venue for it. But I just watched this and I can't do it again. So I ruined myself on that. Had I known, I would have gone to the theater and seen it appropriately.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with movies. Obviously, you know, little bits and pieces here and there that I'm not really gonna go into. Not worthwhile going into. So hopefully I'll bring something new whenever when we do the next record. But hey, something I can say is the Oscars happened, which not that we are like the Oscar toting podcast, you know, checking in on the news. I know that's not our bag, but I still like to see, like I say at the end show every year, I like to see where Hollywood's head is at. And surprisingly for me this time around, I think I had like a 90% success rate with predictions.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I mean, one
Which
battle
I can
after
kind of see.
another.
I can see it.
Yeah, one battle after another took a lot, which I was really hoping it would. It was my favorite of all of the nominees that I saw last year. So I was really
Mhm.
pulling for it, and I was hoping it would get Best Picture. It got a lot more than I thought it would. Um, Even outside of that,
I figured it would get Best Picture, no matter what.
yeah, it got like seven things, and that was pretty good. The big things for me that surprised me were the Hamnet wins. There were like two
Yeah,
Hamnet
that.
wins.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, the one it got for Best Leading Actress, like, deserved, frankly.
Oh, I'm sure it's personally I have not seen Hamnet. I've heard decent things, but from all of the materials that I've seen press wise and the trailers and things like that, it really strikes me as more of a Golden Globe kind of movie. So I was surprised that it pulled through in the way that it did. But good for Hamnet. It was not on my bingo card.
Having seen it myself, from the outside, yes, it does feel like more of a Golden Globe thing, but having seen it, I think it's worthy of the Oscars. I think it's such a it's a sleep. It's like, I'm sure I mentioned on here before, but literally by the end of that movie, I think everybody in the theater I was in was crying. So
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, you know what, fair. And no matter what, the leading actress deserved it. She was phenomenal, and she carried the whole fucking movie.
Very good. Very good. And you know what? Something else that I didn't necessarily predict. I probably could have, but it was still a big surprise. So K-pop Demon Hunters took Best Animated Feature, which I knew that it would. But what I wasn't necessarily tracking, it also took Best Original Song. And I'm not going to doubt that because the cultural impact that thing has and the fact that it's a musical and it's K-pop, which is big right now. But the fact that an animated feature won Best Original Song and it's technically a K-pop song, the fact that Stuffy Stick in the Ass Oscar board voted for that was very surprising to me.
In fairness, they have been playing that song pretty nonstop on a lot of places, apparently, at least according to Hannah. I haven't heard it just because I don't follow the same thing she does. So
Oh,
it
sure.
seems like they've been trying to kind of just get it out there from pure quantity more than anything else.
Possibly. But just look at the board. Has Robert Wool heard that song prior to the Oscar voting? Things like that.
Right.
But yeah, so I just wanted to do a little brief check in there since the movie stuff's a little light for me this time around. The only other thing that I will say, because occasionally we do video game chat on this show, is that as I am one to do, I 100% completed Resident Evil Requiem, which I had to do.
Nice.
I'm a fan of the franchise. I'm probably a bit more of a Silent Hill fan, even though its track record is worse, just because I dig the vibes more. But I've always had a soft spot for Resident Evil. 9 is a particularly great game. It's the best that they've done in years. Coming from someone who did really like 7 and liked 8 well enough, this is the perfect blend of all the lessons that they've been learning over the years, how to properly manage survival horror and action and a batshit story that barely makes any sense the first second you start thinking about it. And that's what I want out of Resident Evil, So
having only ever been an outside observer of Resident Evil, having never played the games myself, I have a deep respect and kind of adoration for how batshit but also dog shit the story is so consistently. It's like, what? Okay.
Yeah, there's a fine line that they towed, especially in the past couple of years, where it's relatively Resident Evil crazy, but they're also trying to over-explain it to try and make the lore make sense. And this one is just like, fuck you. This whole thing is madness.
Yeah.
Some things that
That's kind of how Silent Hill feels to me, too.
Well, I mean, Silent Hill, with the exception of 2 and a couple of the influenced ones later on, Silent Hill does have an overarching story about a cult resurrecting a dead god. And, not a dead god, but like a god from another universe.
Right. Yeah.
So there's
same difference.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that's actively going on there. But yeah, some entries like 2 and Downpour, I believe, they do sort of incorporate that. But yeah, Resident Evil Requiem, it's a great blend of all the things that I like about Resident Evil. They pulled back on some of the more, the stranger decisions of 7 and 8 particularly, which is when they started to get back to their roots after the what the fuck are you doing that was 5 and mainly 6. So
Yeah, I also heard that too.
yeah, I just like I like the direction that this went in, and there is obviously no spoilers there, but there is a huge like nostalgia baity section of the game in the I guess at the midway point, well, maybe closer to the end. It's basically just like you played Resident Evil 2 and 3 and you remember those, right? And I appreciate
There's
that.
a reason they re-released those.
Yeah, I appreciate that in a way. At least it doesn't go too terribly hard on it to the point of annoyingness. But also, it didn't necessarily have to be in the game. So, it's not perfect, but I really really liked it. I liked it enough to play through it multiple times, so I could complete it. After all, so yeah. But all that said, how about you?
Decently light on movies for me this time around too. I've mainly been doing just stuff to have on at work. And as such, I had recently done a couple mainstays, a couple longtime favorites of mine. First one I did was Spotlight, which I don't know if I talked about that last time or not, but I can't because I feel like I can't remember how long ago I watched this one, but that's still one of my all-time favorites, no matter what. Just the fact that they turn dry journalistic practices into an extremely compelling plot. It's like, what more could you want? It's fantastic. And I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. It's Spotlight. It's fantastic. Not a single weak performance in the bunch. And then, as just a regular comfort movie, I put on the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie because I adore that movie, and I always will. It's just so goofy and fun, but also like it takes itself so seriously at the same time, where it just goes, let's just have fun with this. Let's put these people on the boat and just put as much effort to it as possible. And it works. It shockingly works. And then it works even better in 2 and 3. And there are no other movies in that series. None whatsoever. But yeah, that one I just kind of needed a bit of a pick me up for. So I watched that. And it, as a result, encouraged me to finally check out the live action One Piece series on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Fun fact, One Piece is probably the only anime I've ever truly enjoyed, and I watched it mainly when I was a kid with my brother. And so once the live action thing started happening, I was like, okay, cool, that's interesting. And then like I saw the second season came out recently, and I saw a lot of the hype around it and a lot of the hype that people were talking about. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I saw like a couple scenes prior to watching it. I was like, okay, this is surprisingly well realized. And so I've watched the first few episodes of the first season, and it's great. It's ridiculous, but it's based on One Piece, so that's totally fine.
Right. I imagine growing up, the One Piece you watched was probably the 4Kids that was on WB.
Yep.
Or Fox.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's what I watched too. I've seen a little bit of the newer iteration of One Piece, but I haven't gone too far into the anime since I was a kid. I am fully caught up on the manga though, so I at least know all of the story, but I have not dipped into the Netflix thing at all. I think the set design from everything that I've seen looks great, and the costuming.
It's all
trust Netflix.
Shock. I fully understand that, like, this being an infamously long-running manga and anime in the hands of the infamously itchy trigger finger that is Netflix cancellations. Yeah, no, I'm sure it's going to die a premature death within like another year or two. But for what is there right now, I think it's very fun and very cool. Okay. I think it has no business being as well realized as it is, honestly.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's good. Well, also just Netflix has a bad track record with adapting that stuff anyways. The Death Note movie, Cowboy Bebop. So I didn't even want to give it a chance at all.
In this case, it's almost 1-to-1. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, they obviously, it's very abridged compared to, like, the manga and the anime. Like, a lot of arcs are very quickly summed up, and I'm pretty sure a few arcs are just straight up written out.
I'm sure.
From what I've seen, because I haven't read the manga, and I know the manga is more violent, and it's a lot less censored. Mm-hmm. It takes the violent route, so it's kind of more closely follows the manga than anything else.
Right.
But it from what I remember of the anime, it follows it near perfect.
Cool. And I mean,
crazy.
yeah, of course they have to abridge because Oda is very bad at pacing. And I mean, I've seen screenshots. I know that Chopper is in the second season. If they were going based on the manga, Chopper doesn't show up until like past chapter 100. So I know that I know that they're just compressing the whole thing. You kind of have to. I understand it. Although they are remaking the anime from the start. I forget what studio's doing it.
Oh my god, they are?
That was announced like mid last year. I forget who's doing it. Maybe I can find that.
I saw a thing where they were going to be going to a seasonal format versus what they had been doing before. So it meant that the first season was like 1,000 episodes, and every season after that's going to be like 10.
Well, for the pre-existing stuff, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know they're straight up just redoing it. My god.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, all right, good for them. I mean, listen, I think it's fun. It's ridiculous, and its connection to piracy as a concept is tangential at best for the most part, but it's a framing device. That's all it needs. But yeah, I haven't gone through all the first season yet, but I've been enjoying it so far. The only other thing I've been doing with my time is still Abiotic Factor, which I talked about last time. I am obsessed with that goddamn game. It is so much fun.
Yeah, you've been playing probably nothing but it.
It's okay. Well, I will say I briefly also played Creature Kitchen, which is a very small game by comparison, just making food for little woodland animals. It's very sweet.
I completed that in like 2 hours.
Oh yeah, same. So not a whole lot to say about that, but yeah, Abiotic Factor. I am probably taking it much slower than most people would, but I've just honestly just been enjoying hanging out in it and playing around with the mechanics and all, and just the slow exploration of everything. And it's just been, it has scratched an itch I have been needing scratched for a while for a game. Just something that's a good mix of adventure and like a bit of base building and just kind of balancing it out with that kind of whole sense of, just progressive achievement that it comes with, the kind of thing of like,
right.
You go back to the area you started in after 30 hours and you can one-shot everything that had been killing you in one shot. So it's like, oh, this is fun.
Very nice.
Because I hate when games like continue to scale enemies up as you go, even back in original, like early game areas, because it's like, what's the point? In this case, it's like, yeah, no, this area is going to be easiest this level forever. It'll have a couple curveballs as time goes on, but not much. And then as you go, it just gets harder and harder. And it's like, all right, cool. Good gameplay curve. I can not even argue with this. So yeah, that has been my obsession. And truly, every time I think I'm getting close to something that might be an ending, it just keeps opening up more stuff. Like I watched a video of someone playing a game with their friends. It's like an edited video that's like 3 hours long. And I was like, okay, I'll just watch this to the point where I'm at in the game. I barely got to the halfway point in this video, and I was like, this is only halfway? It's like every time I look up something new about it, where I'm like, okay, where do I find this kind of item? And the wiki says, oh, you find this item after you meet the Grim Reaper character. What do you mean the Grim Reaper character? So it's very fun. And it's just every time it surprises me with like both its length and just like what all it's going to throw at me. So yeah, I've been liking it a lot.
Games. Too big.
Yeah. But I can't complain. Listen, I need something to sink my teeth into sometimes.
At least you're liking it. And hey, you know what? That's the news corner. Just so that we don't let it die on the vine. Yes, in fact, Wit Studio is remaking One Piece from the beginning. It's called The One Piece. So, there you go.
Of course. It's like the fucking Predator movies. Because they did all the Predators and then there's The Predator.
Yeah. And Oda is apparently heavily involved in it. Dude, aren't you
I figure he would
dying soon? So, I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, this guy is not young.
We'll see.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Well, shall we jump into some particularly nasty films about nasty people?
Yeah, no shit. Jesus.
Well, this is The War of the Roses, people.
Imagine me and you. I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the boy you love and hold him tight. So happy together. If I should call you up, invest a dime, and you say you belong to me, and ease my mind. Imagine how the world could be so very fine, so happy together.
First things first, we're going to go over the plot to 1989's The War of the Roses, directed by Danny DeVito. Harvard law student Oliver Rose, Michael Douglas, meets Barbara, Kathleen Turner, when they bid on the same antique at a Nantucket auction. The pair start a passionate relationship, eventually marrying, having 2 children, and buying a large house in Washington, D.C. Over the next 18 years, Oliver becomes a wealthy and influential corporate lawyer, while Barbara dedicates herself to raising their children and creating an aesthetically perfect home filled with material objects. With the children grown and soon leaving for college, Barbara realizes that she is unfulfilled and regrets the sacrifices she made to support her family. Having grown to resent Oliver's workaholism, controlling nature, and obliviousness to her feelings, she starts a catering company to achieve financial independence. While entertaining a client, Oliver is hospitalized for a suspected heart attack and writes a love note to Barbara, saying he owes her everything in case he dies. Barbara does not visit him or show any concern when he returns home, admitting that the thought of him dying made her feel happy and free. She tells Oliver she no longer feels anything for him but contempt and wants a divorce, which Oliver reluctantly accepts. While meeting with Barbara's lawyer, tensions rise when she states that she wants nothing except for the house and its contents, and her lawyer uses Oliver's note against him. Although Barbara regrets sharing the note, Oliver spitefully refuses to let her have the house and stops the proceedings via a legal loophole identified by his lecherous colleague Gavin D'Amato, played by Danny DeVito. Oliver unsuccessfully tries to mend things with Barbara, and his inability to admit fault only drives her further away. She refuses his cash offer for the house and attempts to seduce Gavin so he will take her side. When Oliver physically divides the house into individual areas, a frustrated Gavin advises him to surrender his claim and move on. In response, Oliver fires Gavin as his lawyer. After Oliver accidentally runs over Barbara's cat and blames her for it, she retaliates by locking him in his private sauna where he suffers heat stroke. Oliver takes his revenge by interrupting a dinner that Barbara is hosting for her clients, humiliating her and urinating on the food. Barbara retaliates by totaling Oliver's prized Morgan Plus 4 sports car. During a fight, the pair destroy their furnishings and the antique from their first meeting. Though worried, the children leave for college, and the housekeeper Susan, played by Marianne Sagbrecht, quits, leaving Barbara and Oliver alone. Barbara invites Oliver to dinner to talk, but he still refuses to accept that she no longer loves him, leading Barbara to falsely claim she made their dinner from Oliver's beloved dog. The pair start fighting again, and Barbara retreats to the attic to loosen restraints on the hallway chandelier, intending to drop it on Oliver while he boards up the house to trap them both inside. Susan returns to collect her last paycheck, only to find a manic Oliver and Barbara at each other's throats, so she contacts Gavin for help. By the time Gavin arrives, Oliver's and Barbara's quarrels have culminated in the pair hanging from the chandelier, where Oliver admits that despite their hardships, he always loved Barbara. She does not respond. The chandelier cable fails, sending Barbara and Oliver crashing to the floor. With their final breaths, Oliver reaches out to touch Barbara's shoulder, but she pushes his hand away. Gavin, having recounted their tale to his client, gives him 2 options. Proceed with divorcing his wife, being as generous as possible so it is resolved quickly, and rebuild his life. Or go home, and remind himself why he fell in love with her to begin with. The client leaves. Gavin, changed by his experience with the Roses, calls his wife to tell her he loves her and is on his way home. There are a handful of people that are not directly mentioned in the synopsis that I do feel are worth shouting out, so additional cast includes David Wohl as Dr. Gordon, Michael Adler as Dr. Hillerman, J.D. Spradlin as Harry Thurmont, Peter Donnet as Jason Larrabee, Harlan Arnold as Mr. Dell, Peter Hansen as Mr. Marshall, Gloria Cromwell as Mrs. Marshall, fantastic character actor Roy Brocksmith shows up as Mr. Fisk, and Shirley Mitchell as Mrs. Jewett. And now, it is just different enough, so we will go over the plot to 2025's The Roses, directed by Jay Roach. Jay Roach, the Austin Powers guy? One afternoon in London, an architect named Theo, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, meets an aspiring chef named Ivy, played by Olivia Colman. Ivy tells Theo her dream of moving to the United States to start her own business. Inspired by her enthusiasm, Theo suggests he move with her. 10 years later, Theo and Ivy have relocated to Mendocino, California, and are married with twin children, Hattie and Roy. Hattie is played by Delaney Quinn when younger, and Hala Finley when older, Roy by Ollie Robinson when younger, and Wells Rappaport when older. Theo and Ivy have different parenting styles, as Ivy spoils the children with desserts and fun activities, while Theo prioritizes their health. Having sacrificed her business plans to raise their children, Theo surprises Ivy by giving her a piece of real estate where she can finally open her own restaurant. One night, during a severe storm, Theo's newly designed Naval History Museum is destroyed, just as Ivy's new restaurant receives an influx of customers seeking shelter. They include a renowned food critic who writes a positive review, resulting in Ivy's business growing rapidly. Theo loses his job due to the building's collapse and agrees to be a stay-at-home parent, while Ivy becomes the new breadwinner of the family. Taking advantage of it, he puts the children on a strict diet and imposes regular physical exercise. As a result, Ivy begins to feel shut out from her children's lives, while Theo becomes jealous of Ivy's success. Feeling a rift in their relationship, the two make several attempts to reconcile, including a romantic trip to New York City and marriage counseling, but all fail. They begin to feel resentment for each other and blame the other for their problems. As a last attempt to save their marriage, Ivy uses the profits from franchising her restaurant to give Theo an opportunity to build their dream house. 3 years later, the house is complete, and 13-year-old Hattie and Roy are prodigies accepted into a school in Miami on sports scholarships. Without the children to distract them, Ivy and Theo's frustrations turn into a feud. Ivy mocks and humiliates Theo in front of their friends during a housewarming party, discrediting his hard work. Theo, after saving a beached whale and experiencing an epiphany, realizes he and Ivy are miserable and should divorce. He asks only for the house, but Ivy wants to leave him with nothing. Facing an impasse, they decide to make each other's lives unbearable using cruel tactics, which results in Theo being blacklisted from architecture and Ivy's restaurants being closed for health violations. Ivy has an allergic reaction after Theo tricks her into eating a raspberry dessert and will only cure her with an EpiPen if Ivy signs the papers. She pretends to sign them, and he injects her with the EpiPen. Ivy then reveals the deception, and Theo claims he would have never let her die. Ivy then gets the gun and threatens to shoot him. They chase each other around the house, breaking Ivy's beloved stove that belonged to Julia Child in the process. Overwhelmed, Theo admits he still loves Ivy despite everything that has happened between them. Ivy says she feels the same and puts down the gun. As the two become intimate, a gas leak occurs due to the damage to Ivy's stove. Unaware of the situation, Theo asks their smart home system to turn on the fire, and the screen cuts to white. Assumedly, there's a deleted scene where Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman float up to heaven playing harps. Additionally, once more, the synopsis leaves out a couple of people that I think are key members of the cast, and so I'll list them here. Kate McKinnon was Amy, Andy Samberg was Barry, Nkudi Gatwa was Jeffrey, Zoe Chow played Sally, Jamie Demetrio played Rory, and Allison Janney played Eleanor. And there you go.
Christ.
It's all a bunch of stuff that happened.
Yeah, well, I'll get into that.
Oh, but before we get into that, we will get into Full Circles. Alright, so there's a decent amount of people here that actually have non-extra related roles between 89 and 2025, so I will make this as painless as possible. Starting off big, we have Michael Douglas, who was Oliver in The War of the Roses. He was Steve Tobias in 2003's The In-Laws. Danny DeVito was lawyer Gavin D'Amato in The War of the Roses. He was also the voice of Swackhammer in 1996's Space Jam.
I keep forgetting that that's that character's name.
It's a bad name. Sean Astin, surprisingly, played 17-year-old Josh in The War of the Roses. He was, of course, Samwise in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. David Wohl was Eugene Provost in Brewster's Millions. We covered him in this episode as Dr. Gordon. Roy Brocksmith was Mr. Fisk in The War of the Roses. We saw him previously as Dr. Edgemar in Total Recall, 1990. G.D. Spradlin was Harry Thurmont in The War of the Roses. He was also Senator Pat Geary in 74's The Godfather Part 2. Mary Fogarty was Mrs. Dell. And previously, we had seen her in The Odd Couple 2, playing Flossie.
Oh, okay. I was like, for a second, I was like, who the fuck? Oh, yeah.
Peter Donut was Jason Larrabee in The War of the Roses. Previously, he was Questet in The Godfather Part 2, speaking of. And finally, for The War of the Roses 1989, Dan Castellaneta was in that movie as Man in Chair. Previously, we've seen him as the narrator of deleted scene in 1993's Super Mario Bros. Movie. He was a male fan in the stands in 96's Space Jam. And he was the teacher, Mr. Kenny, in 2015's Fantastic Four. That fantastic movie.
Oh, yeah. Woo.
Moving on to The Roses 2025. This is significantly less, only 4. But Benedict Cumberbatch was Theo Rose in The Roses. He was also Smaug in the Hobbit series. And he was the voice of the Grinch in the most recent Grinch reboot.
I genuinely forgot we had done that movie, but yes, we absolutely did.
That was a 3-fer.
It's more like 2.5-er.
Kinda, yeah.
The original one's short.
Andy Samberg was Barry in The Roses. We previously saw him playing himself in Good Burger 2. Kate McKinnon was Amy in The Roses. We saw her previously as Jillian Holtzman in 2016's Ghostbusters. Which, very quick sideline about that. That movie was called Ghostbusters: Answer the Call. That has been like completely wiped from everyone's memory and from I think the studio is just like, no, it's just Ghostbusters. Answer the Call was like the tagline. No, I remember it was a part of the title. Frustrating.
I think you're the one person frustrated by this, man.
It just bothers me. It's like a erasure of history. It's not even a good movie, really, but whatever. And finally, for full circle today, we have Allison Janney, who was lawyer Eleanor in 2025's The Roses. Previously, we saw her, yes, in a minor role, as Woman in Christmas Shop in the 1994 Miracle on 34th Street remake. But she was also Prudy Pringleton in the 2007 Hairspray remake.
Of course.
Yes, of course. And that is full circle. Stuart, take it away.
Oh, boy, Jacob, my friend. You know, I've never really gotten the appeal of this style of movie. It kind of goes along with things like Christmas Vacation or whatever it is. It's, you know, movies that are just like chaos and shitty things being done by shitty people pretty much the whole way through. At a certain point for me, I've just never really been able to see the appeal. So going into this one and seeing how fucking out the gate the original one was, just as far as all that happened in it, I was like, okay, don't know how I'm gonna feel about this whole shebang. So I'm trying to even think of what to say first. I can see that you commented on the director of The Roses, the Austin Powers guy. The moment you said that, it took everything in me not to be like, oh yeah, I can see it. I can like it. Both of these movies, I can fully see the directorial styles of each of these individuals. The first one, yeah, this feels like Danny DeVito to a T, and then The Roses, I'm like, yeah, this feels like if Austin Powers was unhinged. I get it.
Yeah, just for a quick rundown of some of Jay Roach's things, he directed the entirety of the Austin Powers film series, as well as Meet the Parents, the first in the Meet the Fockers series, and Dinner for Schmucks, which is the let's embarrass Steve Carell at a dinner party movie. So,
yeah, let's make sure Steve Carell will forever regret leaving The Office movie.
It's like, yeah, I left The Office. Now I'm starring in movies where I play with dead squirrels on a table.
Christ, that movie.
But anywho,
remember Jeff Dunham's in that movie?
No, I don't. But I don't doubt it. I remember very little about that movie, except that he made dioramas with dead animals. That's literally like the extent of my memory.
What the hell was going on with that movie?
But I to play off of that as well, what you were saying about the directorial styles, you really can sort of see it, because Danny DeVito as a director and a producer is very dark. It's something that doesn't often come out in his acting because of the types of roles that he usually gets. I mean, we've both seen Jack the Bear. That's not always 100%.
Right.
But whenever he's directing something, even like a kid's movie like Matilda, it really leads into the inherent meanness of the source material, which I assume is the same thing for this, which I don't have it in front of me, but it is based on a book of the same name, The War of the Roses.
Yeah. It's from 1981, I believe.
Warren Adler. Sorry, I wanted to grab the name of the writer, Warren Adler,
gotcha.
of that book. So yeah, it's funny how it really creeps in, and then as you were saying with Jay Roach, it is still mean. It is still like balls to the wall, but it is trying to be lighter or pointing out the comedic sensibilities of this dying relationship. I mentioned in The Stinger the caustically British line, or English, whatever you want to say, for Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch.
Right.
And that's because they actually play off the fact that they're English and they're constantly making snide remarks to one another as a way that they express love, and that neither of
Yeah.
them are entirely out of love. That's the big thing with the therapy scene at the beginning, and then somewhere near the middle, where they're just saying the things they hate about each other, and they're each laughing at what the other person wrote. You know, it's like, oh, this is a love language for us because that's how we English are, and that's summed up in the end of the movie where both of them do still love each other. They're just not great for each other, and then maybe the movie kills them. I don't know. Compare that to War of the Roses, where Michael Douglas does have some misheld infatuation with Kathleen Turner's character. I don't know that I would call it love as much as it's like a dependence, and she does not reciprocate. In their dying moments, she does not reciprocate. It is so much darker of a material, and I think that's a really good point to bring up.
Yeah, I do. I like what each of them does with the couple individually. I will say that, because I was going into this thing like, oh, does one do it better, one do it worse? I like how they stick to the feeling that they have built, like you just said. It's truly like in the 2025. It's these are two very English people where they're just going to be kind of talking shit to each other consistently, and it's like, this feels on brand for that whole thing, and it makes sense how it ends up in the end. We're like, okay, they still have an infatuation with each other. They're horribly toxic and need to be sectioned, but they at least have something going. They have chemistry in the sense of, water and sodium. But meanwhile, the American version is just pure hatred and misplaced care. It's just so, I mean, it totally just doesn't it doesn't pull punches with it. It's just like, these are two people who are bad. They are bad people doing bad things to each other. And that's not to say the 2025 ones, they're not also horrible people doing horrible things to each other. They just seem to have a bit more wit behind it. Meanwhile, in the original, they're just like, we are psychopaths in our own ways.
Yeah. I mean, this is my first time seeing either of these. I've been wanting to see the original for a while now. So I'm glad I finally got around to it. But I did not, I knew the general gist, but I did not know the levels that we would reach with either of these movies. God. In 1989, that scene that I mentioned in the synopsis where Kathleen Turner sort of hints at cooking Michael Douglas's dog and making him eat it, I fully believed it. I was like, this character would do that because of how both of these people, how horrible they've been up to this point. I thought that they actually just killed and ate a dog in the movie. Of course, they quickly cut to the dog in the yard so that you as the audience know that that's not the case and she's lying. But I was like,
right,
holy shit, these are terrible people. That's the summation of the 89 one, is that 2025, the Roses, they're bad for each other. 1989, these people, both of these people are like bad for anybody.
These are bad for society.
Yeah, they should be thrown onto an island somewhere, ostracized.
Into the sun.
Yeah, launch them into the sun. First sun mission.
I mean, truly, I love how much in the original one, it just also kind of feels like this just kind of, it's basically like the Aristocrats joke. Do you know that one?
Oh, of course I know that. I am a Gilbert Gottfried scholar, so I definitely know that one.
Sure. You know what? Silly of me to even ask. But yeah, just the whole idea of it's just escalating bullshit that rich people get up to. It's like, that's really is just what that whole movie felt like. It didn't feel so much like that in The Roses. Like you said, it is definitely toned down, and it seems like it's trying to have more fun with its characters than anything else, rather than just what they're doing, which I still respect. Mm-hmm. And I like in a lot of ways. It needs to be said, I do love both the actors in 2025, Cumberbatch and Colman. I think they bring a very strong energy to this that only those two actors can. And it's the kind of thing of, I think only those two people could have played these characters. Meanwhile, I'm sure more people could have played the characters in the original, but I do like that it is Michael Douglas and I've just fully lost the name.
Kathleen Turner.
Kathleen Turner, yes.
I could see a number of people sort of taking that, taking the Oliver Rolls role from Michael Douglas. Like you said, I'm glad that he did it, but I could see some other people in that role. I think Kathleen Turner is that, like, she is perfect for the Barbara character, though. Like, it just screams that, like, the serial mom sort of character.
I could kind of see Nicole Kidman in it if she decided just to go for it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Like, if she just got away from fucking Tom Cruise a bit earlier.
Oh, boy.
Boy, man. It's hard to even know what to talk about with these ones, because it really just is... But we don't often do movies that are just kind of just constant stimuli like this, because this isn't so much of a rising and falling action sort of movie. It's just like, here's one weird thing happening, here's another weird thing happening, here's another weird thing happening. It's kind of, the original very much feels like it kind of feels like Hider in the House, you know? The one
Gary Busey movie, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like that from the perspective of the couple, but just even it's like if you combined the situation of Hider in the House with crazy person hiding in the house and rich couple having problems. It's like you just made the rich people having problems also crazy.
I think Busey would have left if he was
Busey
in
would have
this
left.
house.
Yeah, fully. He would have seen this and be like, "Oh, fuck this!
Gotta go, babe. Gotta go, babe.
Seriously, babe. I'm
Seriously,
going.
babe. I gotta go." There's something to be said for a device that we don't really use all that often. I know that we have a ton of hackneyed tropes that we tend to make fun of, like, you see this is me, you know, like things that movies don't really do anymore. But
If they ever did in the first place.
I like the reserved framing device that's present in 89 instead of just a linear story. Like, you have to remember, it's like The Princess Bride, for example. It's like, you have to remember this entire movie is basically Danny DeVito telling this story to some other guy and basically possibly being the worst divorce lawyer ever. Convincing clients not to get divorces. But there's something to be said about occasionally breaking away from the story back to the framing device and just remembering that the movie is trying to do something. I really appreciate, and that's not a negative against 2025. That's not really something that we do anymore, but this is such like an 80s thing to do.
Yeah, God, like there's so many. There are a lot of movies that there's like everything from this to Stand By Me. Like,
oh yeah,
like it's weird how often that comes up in the 80s of this is me telling a tale. Which, to be fair, very often these are based off of books that are meant to be themselves framed in that way. Like the book itself is meant to be the author telling you a story directly, rather than just being like, this is a story and I'm not addressing you directly. And in this case, it's like, oh yeah, no. It's like in Dracula. Like Dracula is itself just it's second person. So,
Well, I also wonder how much of that was influenced by the Wonder Years too. I mean that the Wonder. I mean, that wouldn't apply to everything, but I mean, it ran from 88 to 94, 95 for a period there, and that sort of was like every single episode was like Daniel Stern is the narrator telling you about his life growing up.
oh, okay. So it's like How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, or Everybody Hates Chris, like what shows like that would do later. But it did early, so maybe that had some sort of influence. But I really appreciate that with 89. I like doing interesting things with the medium.
I'm trying to think of ways to kind of compare these two, but it is kind of apples. It's not quite apples to oranges in this one, but they do feel different in style enough that I actually have to respect of like, okay, yeah, this is a remake that actually like did its job of like doing something new-ish with the formula. So I think, I don't know, I've been so desperately trying to give remakes more of a fair shot, because so often I feel like I immediately kind of feel down on remakes just because we've been doing this for so long now. That the remakes so often are just hackneyed or just not able to capture what the original was doing. And I don't think I'm being overly generous with the 2025 one when I say I do actually, in many ways, prefer the style it's going for with this whole premise. Like, I love how there's something to be said with how dark, like you said, the 89 one was, and just like the clear fingerprints that Danny DeVito has on just dark media in general. But I think with what this whole story entails, I think it needs to pull the punch just a little bit. And I think having it be so sardonic in 2025 honestly does it some pretty good wonders. I think it's able to make it feel like these are maybe slightly more human characters, and it doesn't get to the point of like, you know, it just feels like it's one-upping itself. Because it did just feel like that's all 89 was. It was just like one scene to the next of like, okay, what's the next thing we're going to do to shock the audience or the reader or whatever it is in this case. And then 2025 just goes, okay, we're just going to have them doing stupid shit to each other. But there's actually like a bit of back and forth with it that isn't just, it's not basically just a Dragon Ball Z fight where it just keeps getting more and more and more, you know? Mm-hmm. It does, in the end, culminate with presumably a house explosion, but even that, it pulls its punch in the very end of going, okay, we don't necessarily need to see that, but it'd be funny to think about.
Right, which I don't particularly care for that ending. It's not because I want to see the explosion, but it's also not because I don't want them to die at the end. It feels like they wrote themselves into a position that they didn't know how to get out of. Where it's like,
yeah, for sure.
Both of these characters still like each other, but it would probably be too much of an inversion on our own premise to just have a brief epilogue where they're reconciled and the children come home. That's not this movie. So it feels like they probably workshopped that ending quite a bit because they didn't know what they wanted to do. At least that's the feeling that I get.
Now that I think about it, it kind of feels like the end of a Monty Python bit. The ones where they just couldn't figure out how to end it, so that just the police show up.
Yeah, it's just cut to it. I mean, like Looney Tunes shorts. That's how most Looney Tunes shorts end, because it's just a series of gags. It's like, it's been 7 minutes and the movie's going to start, so bye.
Yeah, fair. At least with this one, though, it still feels like it still felt more structured, if that makes any sense to me, than the original. Like, the original one I still liked, but at a certain point I was just kind of like, okay, yes, now we're moving on to this thing, on to this thing. It felt like there was a bit more of a rising action going on in 2025 that wasn't just doing more heinous shit. Because, like, you know, there's the moment with, like, the EpiPen and everything. It's like that being such a climactic moment, but it feels very reserved by comparison to shit like, you know, everything that happened in, like, the third act of 89. And so I just really like, honestly, I even just really like that scene of like, okay, that's a very oddly elegant and horrifying way to go about this. Just straight up poison her.
Right. But it's also, the thing is that while these movies are pretty different, like different enough that I felt the need to summarize them both in the synopsis section, they do still hit the same beats as one another. The thing is that the Roses, the buildup takes longer. There's more buildup in the Roses to get to that breaking point than there is in 89's The War of the Roses. They do similar things where they try to hint at little niggles that they're going to tear away at. For example, in 89, Kathleen Turner has a cat, Michael Douglas has a dog. One's a cat person, one's a dog person. Danny DeVito even makes a quip about it at the end when he's talking to the guy. And you see their affection for their own pet, but the fact that they don't really care for the... There's this really cruel scene where Kathleen Turner is joking with the cat, like, this dog is fucking stupid, look, and just pretends to give him food while giving the cat food. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fucked up, lady. But... And then he runs downstairs to see Michael Douglas coming out of the sauna and be greeted by him because that's his guy. And you can see the delineation between them, which later in the movie, when Michael Douglas, to be fair, accidentally kills the cat and Kathleen Turner pretends to cook the dog, they're pulling on threads that you, the audience, have been let to know are there. It's just the build-up isn't as strong. The same thing can be said for the Roses, but the build-up is greater. Like you were saying with the EpiPen thing, that's something that we as the audience are aware exists, because earlier in the movie we see that she is such a maniac that she loves raspberries, I guess, that she just eats them under the knowledge that Benedict Cumberbatch will be there to stab her in the arm.
Well, didn't they? I thought that she had, like, he had laced the cake with raspberry. She didn't know she was eating them.
No, that happened later, but at the beginning of the movie, to let the audience know that that was
yes,
a thing,
sorry. I'm so sorry.
She
yes.
goes into the fridge and she's just like, get it ready, and the kids are like, oh, and he grabs it out of the drawer. because she's crazy.
Which also, if I remember correctly, EpiPens aren't just like a one and done, everything's fine thing. Like, don't you still have to like go to the hospital and shit?
No, you do, because all that does is raises your adrenaline levels so that you can, like, as someone that has had EpiPens since they were a little kid, yeah, that's not, it's not like, oh, I'm not dying anymore. It's just like, oh, I'm not dying for now. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yoish. It's just like, yeah, I know that's a small niggle, but still, like you said, she is just kind of nuts.
Yeah, but to that end, what I'm saying is that I think both movies are doing the same thing. It's just The Roses is giving it a bit more time before it reaches that point, whereas The War of the Roses sort of hits it almost out of the gate in a sense. Like even like I was saying with the dog and the cat, that is to show the audience that those pieces exist for when they get played on the board later. But they are still introduced through some pretty despicable means on the part of the main characters. At least Kathleen Turner's character. I can't remember him doing anything particularly nasty to the cat before he ran it over.
Yeah, this does. I will say, it's more even-handed in 2025. Not fully, obviously, but it really, in the original one, they really do just make it out that the Kathleen Turner's character is just a sociopath.
Yeah.
Which at a certain point just kind of gets old. Which I'm like, I feel like this needs to be a bit more even-handed. Obviously, Douglas in the end gets there, but still.
Yeah. I guess the main thing is that he's a dick, but that's not near as bad as, like, I don't know, like, he's a sociopath and she's a psychopath. It's not exactly the same thing.
Well, also the fact that, like, she had no reaction to him having a heart attack and everything. It's like, that's some form of sociopathy, man. Like, that's at least narcissism.
Yeah. Well, that's strange too, because she hears that he had a heart attack and she actually does react for a second and she's like, oh, I need to go. But she never makes it there because she's like, well, I called the nurse and she said you were fine, so why bother? Yeah, no, if I would still be going, you know, I would still go.
Well, even if like that takes like a level of amorality to have that kind of reaction.
Yeah, almost like you're doing it out of obligation, which I guess in a way she was, because that's when the speech comes in. That I felt free when I thought you were dying. So,
like,
yeah. It is interesting to note how the times they are a-changing if we actually look at the way the remake addresses the plot as well, because it's interesting that, I mean, the original The War of the Roses and probably closely, more closely related to the 81 book, by that standard, is like the workaholic man and the housewife that feels like she was robbed of what she wanted to do in life. She wants to start this business. She wants to start a restaurant, like a catering sort of business, and Michael Douglas treats it like a hobby, because again, he's a dick. And they kind of invert that in 2025. They both have their own careers, but Benedict Cumberbatch is the one that ends up in the house husband role, and is resentful for it. And I think that's interesting because it's a real 2025. It's something that you could have done in the 89 film, but I don't think it would have made as much sense to audiences. It would have been a different movie.
Yeah. So it would have made there would have been a lot more gay jokes about it.
Probably. It would have been more of a comedy instead of a black comedy, which again, that's also something to consider, is that black comedies aren't really a thing now. I mean, they are getting made, but they are not as popular as just out and out comedies. Black comedies kind of died in the early aughts.
But dude, didn't you see they're making a new scary movie where they're getting rid of all the safe spaces? God, that fucking trailer.
Yeah.
That trailer might have been the most dated looking thing I've ever seen with what they were trying to say on there. It's like, oh, it's going to be so offensive and all these horrible things. I'm like, guys, like this is pathetic.
Well, that's like, the weigh-ins. Come on. That's the weigh-ins for you. Oh, but all that is to say that I appreciate a lot of the updates that were done in 2025. I think it's a good example of, obviously it's not like, there's a fine line between what is a remake versus what is a re-adaptation. Is this a remake of 89 or is it more just another adaptation of the book with influence from 89? Who's to say other than the screenwriter? Whatever. But as far as updating the source material goes for the new decade without losing the core of what it is, I think it does a really good job. So I have to give it.
It feels more even. It feels more even-handed across the board. Like there's a lot of the original had a kind of the era of take my wife kind of thing, and like, I'm sure this is a horse that's been beaten 3 times around at this point, but it's like, at a certain point, I'm like, yeah, this just kind of feels rough just to see just the blatant kind of misogyny at times. I know it's meant to be kind of the thing of they're both horrible, but again, it really does feel like it's more. It doesn't feel as even-handed, you know. It feels kind of like Michael Douglas still gets the softer end of things as far as his character development goes. Meanwhile, yeah, I like how it's framed in 2025 of, you know, the role reversal situation going on, and not even just like with on a meta level of like the, you know, characters themselves being role reversed, but also literally structurally in the story, it goes from he's the breadwinner to the housemaker. I think that it makes a lot of sense. It's a thing that would be, you know, challenging to whatever his ideal had been at the time. It's like, yeah, this feels interesting. This feels like a good way. It also makes a lot of sense of why he wants the house, you know, in the end. It doesn't feel like there's a specific reason for it in 89 of like why he's so dead set on the house. Meanwhile, this one, it's like he designed the damn thing. It's like, yeah, of course he wants it.
Yeah. And he was an architect, you know, as opposed to just a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's added stake there.
Yeah. Like it feels like there's nuance, you know? What a concept.
In a way, there might be nuance.
It's super nuanced, but it's something.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to say on these.
I wish I did, but yeah, these are pretty cut and dry, all things considered.
Yeah, I think I got all of my points out. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, this will probably I was about to have a question, but I think I'll save that question as actually one of the end of the episode questions because it's interesting enough on its own. But I do think I have to give it to 2025 personally. I didn't feel like as much like shit by the end of that one. It's had a better staying power in my mind. Just, you know, like I said, felt more balanced overall than 89. I still liked 89, but at a certain point, yeah, it's kind of hard to just be like, there's only so much of Danny DeVito's style I can take before I'm just like, God, I need to go look outside or something or do something else. They're saying I need to not be so misanthropic for a few minutes.
Oh, everyone go watch Jack the Bear. Like, what the fuck?
Oh my God. Yeah. Holy shit. There's a lot going on in that movie.
He's like a kiddie horror host that gets drunk and goes on a racist tirade. And
not like actually racist. He's making fun of a racist guy.
He's making fun of a man in his neighborhood that is a terrible person, played by Gary Sinise, who also kidnaps his son. It's a wild movie.
I'm sorry, this is fully a tangent. Hannah, we were watching that movie, and Hannah had to step away partway through it. And when she got back, and we were kind of recounting the plot, and I was like, at a certain point, I had to be like, were you here for the kid getting kidnapped? And she was like, what? It's just
so much happens.
Like, yeah, like it's God. I hate it when we get to this point when it comes to the movies we're reviewing, but at the same time, it's hilarious.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Like, listen, we've said all we could possibly say. There's not a whole lot to chew on with either of these.
Well, were in the. I got us sidetracked. We were in the middle of going over our
favorites,
preferences. Yeah, and you mentioned yours, and I'll say I'm close to the same boat in how I've come to my decision because technically speaking, I'm gonna give it. You know, if I have to pick one that I would rather watch, I'd probably give it to 89 just because my movie watching sensibilities lean more towards that style. So I think I would prefer to watch it. But as far as like which one of these is like better than the other, I think I got to give this one of the rare, like, I don't have a preference as far as that's concerned. I think both
these
of these
are different enough that doing. It's. Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know if I'd ever really want to watch either of these again because they're both, like I said, I'm still not huge on this whole style. I don't like movies where I get stressed out by association, you know, like it's like secondhand embarrassment. It's like secondhand anxiety. At a certain point, I'm just like, I deal enough with firsthand anxiety, man. I don't need this for my movies.
Stu has panic attacks watching Seinfeld.
No, I just get bored. Yeah, real cutting commentary for a however many decade old TV show that's gotten mixed reviews anyway.
Oh, I like it. That we'll save that for our future Seinfeld episode.
No, we will not. No, thank you.
Oh, but yeah, you said you had a question? Because I do not.
I think this one's a bit more of a meta one. It's kind of just in the sense of just like with how the differing styles of these are, and I decided to kind of take it from the directorial standpoint. Just based on only what goes on in these movies, which of these directors would you rather sit down to have dinner with?
If I knew nothing about either of them, just based on the movies.
Let's say yeah, just for that sake, just so that way it's not just like, oh, Danny DeVito, obviously because it's Danny DeVito. No, like if this was your only impression of either of these people, who would you rather sit down with?
Oh, honestly, it probably still would be Danny DeVito, because I would be like, I think there would be such it's like a, the movie is dark and weird. Does that mean that the guy is like a maniac? Not necessarily. I think that the conversation that I would have with this mystery man that I don't know would be very enlightening. It's the same thing like if I was able to sit down and have a meal with David Lynch before he died. I think I'd find that very enriching and enlightening.
Yeah, I considered doing I considered doing Jay Roach, but then I kind of thought over it and I'm like, if I had just walked out of the movie theater of having seen War of the Roses, I would have been like, I gotta know what's going on with this guy. Like, this guy's got conversations worth having. So yeah, it'd probably still be Danny DeVito, just for the sake of, I want to see where he was coming from with this, because holy shit, that's not going to be a boring conversation. I know that. Yeah,
no, I agree. I like where that question went. For some reason, when you were starting it off, I thought you were based on these two directors. I thought you were going to say like, who would you want to see direct another War of the Roses?
Oh, at a certain point, it's like, these are so distinct in their own way. It's basically just a director doing a trope on it. Like, because the whole idea of, couple is having problems and so they start tormenting each other. That's been done to one degree or another in a lot of ways. And so I like, any director can do that. It's just how they do it in their individual style.
Yeah. Well, how about Socials?
Sure. Sorry.
No, that's fine. So go ahead and follow us and subscribe and like on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. We're on the likes of Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Podbay, Podmatic, Stitcher, YouTube, but we are hosted by Spotify for podcasters. Go ahead and send us an email, theyremadeit@gmail.com, with thoughts on today's episode, your thoughts for directors that you might want to have dinner with. What do you like about the show? What do you not like? Just general thoughts, or if you want to say hi. And recommendations. We'll always take recommendations for future episodes. And follow us, theyremadeit.bluesky.social, to get updates on when the podcasts are going live, posters and things for what we could cover in the future, posters and promo art for what we've been playing, reading, watching occasionally in the downtime between podcast records, and little full circle videos that I like to put together regarding folks that have been covered on the show more than once. And that is it for socials.
You want to know why I was confused about it being Villeneuve for Sicario? It's that I was mixing the director up with the writer being Taylor Sheridan, who is a bit more mixed, as it were, just historically, because he's done, this was his screenwriting premiere, at least in a wider sense. And obviously, like, Sicario is a very good, well-written movie, but then as time goes on, he just kind of keeps getting like weirder about his stuff, because then it goes from that to Yellowstone, which is just like, my God, that is not on the same level at all as far as the writing. So it's like, how is it that the guy behind Yellowstone is the one who did Sicario? It's like, oh, it's because it's the writer, not the director. That makes more sense.
Oh, you know what? Send us an email. Tell us who you get Villeneuve confused with. Pat McCormick? Sure.
What the fuck? Mainly, I was just kind of thinking of the effect of, like, imagine the people behind Yellowstone trying to do War of the Roses.
Oh, it'd be like the Hatfields and the McCoys.
Oh. Yeah. Well, that solved that question pretty easily.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm gonna hit the escape rope. As always, I'm your host, Stuart.
And I'm your host, Jacob.
And, dear God, everything has already been done before.
Love hurts, love skies, love wounds, in minds, any height.
Sure, we've been horrible to each other, but we had something. We still do. We haven't passed any point of no return.
I have.
I'm not convinced. Nobody who makes pate this good can be all bad.
That depends on what the pate is made of. Woof.